Well, here we are at the halfway point in our series to get back hours in your day. So, first, I want to applaud you for making time to listen. Even if you're like me and you're listening while you're getting ready, driving, or cleaning, just be sure to have your notes app open so that way you can jot down the nugget that you needed to hear today. And then be sure to come join the conversation inside the Redeem for Time community afterwards. So that way we can put it into action. More on that in a minute. But first, let's quick catch up in case you're just finding the series or you need to hear things more than once, AKA, that's all of us. On episode 254, we talked about the most tangible time waster of them all, your devices. Constantly and most likely mindlessly picking up that phone or clicking on that open tab or grabbing that remote is wasting more time than most of us would care to admit, right? That's what we call digital distraction. So, how's your screen time since you've been practicing digital discernment? Your time matters. So, what you do with it matters too. And if you didn't grab the free screensaver or the 4 ways to get back hours in your day guide for entrepreneurs, let me give you something time-saving to do with your phone. Go register for the Find the Time Challenge happening at the end of this podcast series at redeemhertime.com/time. And then I will send you the guide and the screensaver right away so you can start putting them to use. Imagine going down from 4 hours and 37 minutes a day or more on your device to less time on your device and more time to invest in the people and things that matter most. Girl, that right there could be life-changing. So be sure you listen to part 1. Then last week on episode 254, we talked about always being on the clock when it comes to your business, AKA always working. Is that you? Sure, it may feel like you're getting more done because you're spending more time, but if the work you do truly fills the time you give it, wouldn't you rather get the same or even more done in less time by putting limits on it, AKA healthy boundaries? And wouldn't you love to have time set aside that you're not working, where you're taking care of your loved ones, your home, or shocker, you? You were not made to always be working, so don't. And don't apologize to your family that you're working or to your clients or customers that you're with your family. Because healthy boundaries around work and non-work time are healthy for everyone, especially for you. And girl, you're going to be amazed at how setting those limits changes your business and everything else. So be sure to listen to part 2. So let's assume your phone is on the counter where it's not going to distract you, and you've got your day divided into work and non-work time, and you're looking at all the things you need to get done before you go to bed. Have you been there? You're probably telling yourself you don't have enough time, and there's only one of you to do it all, so you think, I'll just start dinner while I help my daughter with her math homework, while I also answer just one quick text to a client, while I help my hubby with that detail for his annual weekend event. Not that I would know anyone who thinks she could do all of that, because that would require some superhuman superpowers, right? Except that's exactly what I did. And guess how things turned out? The pot boiled over, the girl melted down, the text got misspelled, oops, and my hubby was frustrated that I had to ask him to repeat his question. Okay, so I just incriminated myself. I was that multitasking girl. And I thought that all these quick little things could happen all at once, but I was wrong. So let's talk about multitasking for a minute. Multitasking is just what it sounds like. Multi, which means many, and tasking, which means doing, AKA doing many things at the same time. Now, it might seem like a way to get more done, but trust me, it's really not. Only computers are able to do complete multiple actions at the same time, like streaming audio while downloading an email and calculating a spreadsheet all simultaneously. And that's only with the more modern operating systems, because back in the day, you remember like MS-DOS, those systems could only run one process at a time. You see, machines are made and designed for productivity, but you are not a machine. And when we as humans try to juggle multiple things at once, our brains have to constantly switch gears, and that's exhausting. So instead of being superwomen, we end up doing everything half-heartedly, AKA only half present, and making more mistakes, which costs us more time and everything else, right? Did you know studies say that multitasking, which is really just task switching from one to the next and possibly back again, actually drops our productivity to 50%. Wow, it takes 50% more time along with making, get this, 50% more errors. Talk about wasted time on things like mistakes and mishaps that could have been prevented just by slowing down and focusing on one thing at a time when you're in a work block, just as much as when you're in a non-work block. Now, it may not seem or feel like it's being as efficient, but multitasking efficiency is actually an illusion because nothing and no one gets enough of you to make a real difference and produce the fruit, aka the results that you're looking for, right? Proverbs 28:19 says, "Whoever works his land will have plenty of bread, but he who follows worthless pursuits will have plenty of poverty." Now, I'm the first to say I'm no farmer, even though I live in Southern Illinois, but I do know a thing or two about what it takes to grow something. You can't set aside time to go and work in the garden and even grab your shovel, your rake, your watering can, and then after just 5 minutes of your hands in the dirt, notice the weeds and the landscaping rocks that need to be pulled, and then go over to pull those, and then prune the flowers that are planted there, and then maybe go back to the garden for a few minutes, only to realize, well, the dog wandered off while you're out there and you have to go find him. And then, can you expect to have any vegetables waiting for you the next time you visit your garden? No. You have to focus on the garden and what it needs if you want to see the fruit. Otherwise, you're going to have pretty landscaping and maybe a tail wagging dog, but nothing to put on the table, right? So here's the truth. Multitasking is not your superpower. It's your kryptonite. It's what weakens your focus and divides your time and attention. According to researchers, the only time you can truly multitask is when one of the tasks is fully automated, like walking on a treadmill. For example, you could read a book or fold laundry while walking on a treadmill. Now, I was just having a conversation with my daughter-in-law who got one of those treadmills to put under her desk, but I'm not sure I'm that coordinated, but she's finding it to be a great way to get her work done and get her steps in. So maybe one day I'll have to try that kind of multitasking. But that's not what we're talking about today. Because when you try to complete two tasks that require your attention at the same time, like reading an email while being in a meeting, that's what we consider bad multitasking. And yes, it can have negative effects, like missing something important in either or both places. So, what is your superpower when it comes to focusing your time? I'm so glad you asked. It's asking the number one focusing questions that I teach my clients to ask. Are you ready for this? It's very simple. What is it time for? Wow, what is it time for is so simple. And this question is not only going to increase your productivity, but also your purposivity, giving your time and attention to what you're called to that's bigger than just checking off the task in the moment or getting one more thing done. This one question can make all the difference when it comes to that time that goes to your devices, hence the screensaver that prompts with this question every time you wake it up. And also when it comes to the time that goes into your business or your non-business time. And even inside those blocks when you're tempted to be on the meeting, when you send an email while you schedule the appointment, while you look for a link, girl, if that meeting wasn't where you're committed to showing up fully present, you might as well get off because you're just dividing your focus and wasting more time. And if you're helping your daughter with homework or your hubby with his plans or weeding your garden, it's not time for making a grocery list or redesigning the landscape or walking the dog. So I want to challenge you. Try asking this question before you start that next work block or that next household task. What is it time for? And then when you have an answer, give that person or that task the time and attention it needs to produce the fruit, aka the results. And notice how focusing on one at a time gives you back those seconds, minutes, or hours you've been wasting by trying to switch tasks all the time. Do you remember from back on episode 253? We said that it takes an average of 20 minutes to regain full focus on what you were doing when you pause to do something else. Girl, that time adds up and it can be used for way better things. Don't you agree? That's why when you know what it's time for in your day, in your week, and you have an intentional plan to give what matters your focus, time, and attention, then when those random things do pop up and you think you need to go do it before you forget, guess what? You don't. And that is another reason why you're going to want to grab a spot for the Find the Time Challenge happening in just over a week, because I'm going to show you how having an ideal week template not only eliminates multitasking, but also your to-do list. How? Because everything that matters has a time and a place, and you've got margin built in to give time and attention to those random things without them taking away from what you're trying to grow in your life or business. Doesn't that sound way better than trying to be the superhuman that you're not by multitasking? The truth is, you have a lot of demands in your time and a lot of distractions that are always popping up, tempting you to stop what you're doing to go do something else, or to try to do two things or more at once, which we've already said 98% of the time you can't. So why do we keep trying? Well, I get it, because when we feel short on time, it seems logical to throw multiple things into the same block, thinking it will make us more productive and allow us to fit in more so we can get to bed on time. But not only will you be more exhausted, you could have actually gotten it done sooner and gotten to bed earlier if you had used the focusing question instead. Because when you focus on one thing at a time, you save time and frustration. And remember, it's not so much the quantity of time that something, especially if it's shared with other things, which would cut it in half or more, right? But it's about the quality of time it gets. Let me say that again. It's not so much the quantity of time that something gets, but the quality of time that it gets. What if the tasks that fill your day in your life and in your business could actually take less time if they got your focus time? And better yet, what if you actually got hours back that would allow you to be fully present to that person or task that really matters, that's right in front of you, to your family, to your friend, to your client, to your customer, to your coach, to yourself? I just want to share a story about a girl named Chesney. Chesney and I have been working together for several months inside my coaching program. And recently she shared this. She said, I no longer struggle with the frantic chasing on my calendar, allowing the overcommitted agenda to dictate how I spend my time. But now I intentionally slow down and enjoy what God has purposed this time for. Her daily goal is to seek what God has for her, being filled up so she can pour out where He's called her to, whether that's serving her family, her friends, her community, or her clients. And what I love is that she desires to give God and her family her best yes, rather than leftovers, and trust Him as she lives a with God life. And along the way, God is redeeming her time, and she's no longer living with regret about how she's wasted it pursuing the wrong things. Wait, what? Did you hear that? No regret about how you're spending or dividing your time and giving God, your family, and your business your best yes rather than leftovers? Girl, when I polled women about what they really want most, hands down, the top desire I heard was being fully present to the people and things that matter most. So I want to ask, is that what you want too? If so, you can use this one thing to get back more hours in your day when you stop always checking in, stop always working, and stop always trying to multitask. And I can't wait to talk with you next week to talk about the biggest doubt that we have as business owners that sucks up our precious time. If I can build a successful business and an intentional life, I'm here to tell you, you can, if you stop trying to manage it all. So be sure to tune in for that one. But before we go, here is today's community question. When is a specific time in your day or week that you will ask the question, what is it time for? I can't wait to hold you accountable and hear how it's saving you time to invest in more important things. So come join the conversation inside the Redeem Her Time community at redeemhertime.com/community, or just click the link in the show notes. And before you go give your full time and attention to what it's time for next, be sure to save your spot for the Find the Time Challenge happening August 27 through 30 at redeemhertime.com/time. And that way you can get your 2 free gifts, that guide and a screensaver, to start getting back hours in your day as a woman who's juggling all the things in midlife and business. Now, I know that staying focused on what's in front of you may be harder than you think. So let's go to the Lord together. God, thank you for the bigger purpose you have for each woman listening today in both her life and her business. I pray that when she gets distracted by lesser things or even important things that need her time and attention, that she will seek you for wisdom to answer the question, what is it time for? Because not only have you called her to specific people and tasks in this season, but you've also given her all the time she needs to fulfill that call. May she trust that you are enough and that by showing up fully present, that she is being a good steward of her time to build your kingdom. We can't wait to see what you want to show us when we listen. In Jesus' name we pray. Amen. Oh, hey, friend. I'll see you over inside the Redeem Her Time community. We'll talk more about this. Thanks for joining me for this episode. And until next time, remember, instead of chasing time on a clock, trying to control it, receive the gift of time from the one who truly holds it. Because as his daughter, you have time.